Good evening. Breath slowly. Let your body soften. And let your mind walk the long path to ancient times. A time when large stones were not just buildings, but became prayers planted in nature. Then tell me where you are listening to this story, in what state, and with what feeling. Write it in the comments column, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so I know you like the stories I act. Let's continue into the story this time. Tonight, we will walk to a place that has stood for more than 1,000 years. A place that holds the deepest silence. As if every stone once heard whispers of the wind from all directions of the world. That place is named Borobudur Temple. But tonight, we do not discuss Borobudur as a tourist spot. We do not discuss it with a loud voice, or with hurried steps. We will discuss it like an old traveler, arriving at the foot of the temple at dawn, when the world is still half asleep, when mist hangs slowly in the air, and when every breath feels united with the damp earth. Imagine morning mist, rolling slowly among the hills of Kidu. The mist comes down like a soft blanket, covering trees, rice fields, and small rivers, flowing in the distance. In the middle of that mist, slowly, very slowly, the peak of Borobudur begins to appear. Like a small mountain, made of black stone, silent, calm, and full of secrets. Around the foot of the temple, coconut trees and teak trees stand watching, like patient guards. When the wind passes, leaves blow gently, making a sound that is heard, like an ancient whisper, coming from afar. Long before Borobudur stood, the Kidu land was a fertile valley. Its black soil was rich, and always filled with the sound of water, sound of birds, and sound of wind, moving from mountain to mountain. Mount Merapi in the east, Mount Sumbing in the west, Mount Merbabu, Sindoro, and small hills surrounding it, like nature's walls. That land was home to many villages, many families, many small mountains considered sacred. Nature was a teacher, and everything was considered to have a soul. Until one time, a great kingdom rose in central Java. The kingdom lived under the flag of the Sailendra dynasty. A dynasty combining power, spirituality, and connection with nature. It was during that time a simple idea was born in the hearts of leaders, building an artificial mountain, which was not just a building, but a mandala, a map of the universe, manifested in stone. They did not seek worldly glory. What they sought was a place for humans to understand themselves through a slow journey from the foot of the temple to its peak. That morning, in a village near the hills, people woke up earlier. They did not know that that day was the beginning of a long journey. Some men carried ropes, some carried tools, some checked the path towards the hill that would be the location. There were no loud voices. There were no angry commands. Only footsteps, moving slowly on soft ground. When the sun just started touching the hill peak. Workers looked at the valley, covered in mist. And in the middle of that mist, they saw a faint shadow. That would later become Borobudur. They did not know how long the construction would last. They did not know how many stones had to be lifted. They only knew that they were building something bigger than themselves. Progo River flowed in the distance, bringing the gurgle of water, sounding soft, like a nature mantra. That sound became a friend to the workers, starting the first day of construction. And on that morning, when the mist slowly rose, and sunlight touched the wet grass, Borobudur started its first breath. A breath that was soft, calm, and full of hope. Tonight, we will tread that entire journey. We will trace stone by stone, story by story, until reaching its peak, which is silent and peaceful. This journey is long, but no need to rush. Let yourself walk slowly. Let your eyes get sleepy. Let the story greet your heart like morning mist, touching skin with a softness almost unfelt. Imagine a soft morning at the foot of Candi hills. Dew still hangs on the tips of grass blades, and the scent of wet earth fills the air with a fragrance that is soothing. Here, among great mountains and rivers flowing like mantras, humans and nature begin to work together to build something much larger than both. Workers come slowly, with steps not hurried. Some carry ropes, some carry small axes, while some others only carry bare hands, and energy united by intention. They do not know large machines, modern tools, or heavy vehicles. What they have is only body strength, cooperation, and belief that what they build will be an eternal prayer, manifested in stone. In the distance, Mount Merapi stands silent, but inside its silence, it keeps an important secret: volcanic stones that will later become the main material of Borobudur construction. Every time Merapi erupted in the past, it spread andesite rocks throughout the valley. Those stones hardened for hundreds of years, becoming nature's jewels, waiting to be touched by humans. Workers go to the river to collect those stones. They descend the path, surrounded by teak trees, passing large roots, stretching out like old hands, guarding the travel path. By the river, water currents flow gently, rubbing the stone surface until smooth and cold. Workers choose stones one by one, lifting them carefully, as if the stone contains a small piece of nature's secret. Those stones are then piled on large wooden planks. Some people pull them using ropes made of rattan, while others push slowly from behind. There are no shouts. There are no harsh orders. Only the sound of breath, sound of stones rubbing, and sound of the river continuing to flow, accompanying that long journey. Every day, those stones are moved to the foot of the hill where construction is, until finally, a large mountain of stones begins to form. Building experts, or silpen in ancient tradition, observe that pile with eyes full of patience. They are keepers of knowledge, reminders of ancient formulas, and holders of mental sketches of what does not yet exist, but they have already seen. In imagination, there is no paper, no blueprint. All designs are inside their heads, and in symbol language, passed down through generations. When the ground begins to be leveled, workers plant large woods to mark the first circle. That circle will be the base of Borobudur. And from there, that giant mandala will slowly rise. Imagine soft sounds of wood being planted, sound of ground being dug, sound of workers talking to each other in low tones. Everything feels like a long prayer, recited not with words, but with body movements. In the daytime, the sun rises slowly, arranging shadows among trees. Workers stop for a moment, drink from water bamboo, and sit on large stones, becoming their resting place. From that place, they can see the expanse of Kidu Valley, vast and green, small rice fields, patterned like woven cloth, Progo River, shining like a silver ribbon, and far away there, high mountains, guarding the blue sky, like nature's walls. Workers know that what they construct must be as harmonious as this valley, because Borobudur is not just a building, but a reflection of surrounding nature. In the afternoon, when the sun starts to go down, wind brings cold air. In a very soft way, workers gather tools, burn a small fire, and lay their bodies under the orange sky, turning purple. They look up towards the slowly darkening sky, and imagine the temple that will one day stand magnificent. But in their imagination, that temple is not a large building challenging the sky. It is a small mountain full of peace, a place humans climb, not to show power, but to find calmness within themselves. And night falls. Wind brings forest sounds, cricket sounds repeating softly, and fire sounds cracking small near workers' feet. Under moonlight, stones collected that day shine softly, as if storing energy, slowly waking up, like humans sleeping. Those stones wait for the time to become something bigger than just stone. They wait to become Borobudur. Morning always comes the same way at the foot of Borobudur. Slow, not hurried, and full of soft mist, moving like earth's breath. In the middle of that mist, low sounds begin to appear. Sound of rattan fiber ropes pulled, sound of wood rubbing, and sound of footsteps stepping on wet ground, with a soft and regular rhythm. These are the days when large stones begin to be raised up the hill. The most tiring stage, but most sacred. In Borobudur construction, workers stand in a circle around a pile of andesite stones. Those stones look cold, dark, but reflect a little light when the morning sun touches their surface. Before they start, a village elder walks slowly to the center of the circle. In his hand, he carries a small clay bowl containing river water. He lifts the bowl slightly, as if giving greetings to stone and human. Then he drips water onto the surface of the first stone, and whispers softly, "May you be light in your journey." Workers smile a little, not because the stone is truly light, but because that prayer makes their hearts feel light. Wooden pulleys are installed between two large trees, growing naturally on the hillside. Those trees become part of the process, like a pair of old guards, lending their strength to build something bigger than themselves. Rattan rope is looped onto the stone, wrapped tightly, but without hurting its surface. Then, with a signal almost like a whisper, workers start pulling. They do not pull fast. They pull with a long rhythm. Slow, stable, like the way someone draws breath in meditation. The first pull makes the stone move a little, only a few spans, but that is enough to make surrounding leaves vibrate gently. When the rope is tense, rubbing the tree trunk, the second pull makes the stone shift further, leaving a thin line on wet ground. The third pull makes some workers exhale simultaneously, not because tired, but because they feel that the stone truly starts to rise towards its destiny. In the distance, the sound of morning birds fills the air. That sound merges with human work rhythm, forming a small harmony, sounding soft and natural. Day by day, stones are raised, little by little. There is no time race. There are no strict targets. All move in the same rhythm with surrounding nature. Some workers push long wooden logs under the stone to facilitate movement. Every push is followed by the sound of soil and small stones falling slowly. On the other side, some workers hold ropes and ensure that the stone does not slip back down. Their task is very important, but done with a calmness, almost like meditation. When noon arrives, the sun radiates soft light, falling onto stones, onto workers' skin, and among leaves. Moving slowly, workers rest under the shade of a large tree. They sit in a circle on cold ground. Some eat rice wrapped in banana leaves. Some drink from water bamboo. There are no loud conversations, only simple smiles and the sound of wind surrounding them, like an old friend. In the middle of that rest, an old man observes the newly raised stone. With a warm gaze. "You see that?" he says softly to the young man beside him. "That is only one stone. But when all stones meet, that temple will breathe." The young man nods. With eyes half sleepy. Fascinated by imagination. He does not yet fully understand. In the afternoon. Work resumes. Stone by stone. Follows the log path. Arranged as simple rails. Every stone moves. With the same rhythm. Slow. Regular. And full of calmness. Not a single stone is in a hurry. All have their own time. And when twilight falls, orange light touches the initial frame of Borobudur, just appearing as a large circle. Its shadow extends on the ground, as if the temple already stands in a dream, even though just started. In the real world, workers walk home with relaxed steps. Some carry leftover ropes. Some carry tools. But mostly, only carry a sense of relief and silence left behind inside their chests. That night, under the dark sky, decorated with thin stars, stones that have been raised rest in their place, silent, calm, and feeling like listening to the world. And inside that silence, Borobudur grows a little more. Equals. The next morning comes, with soft light falling like thin silk on the surface of large stones, starting to be arranged at the base of Borobudur. Among those stone piles, artists, called pandi in old language, gather in a small circle. They do not carry brushes, do not carry paper, only carry chisels and memories of ancient stories they have memorized since childhood. They sit on rattan mats, while morning mist slowly rises from the valley, greeting them with a cold touch, making breath look like white steam. Those pandi are keepers of stories, keepers of symbols, keepers of moral teachings that will later be carved into Borobudur stones. They work not only with hands, but with hearts full of calmness. Before the first chisel touches stone, an artist leader, an old man with curly hair, tied back, takes one flat stone. He rubs its surface using his palm, as if feeling a fine pulse that can only be understood by people living in the silence of art. Every stone, he says softly, is a story sheet not yet written. Our task is to make it breathe. Artists nod slowly. There is no applause, no cheering, only silence. Nodding along with them, every artist chooses one stone panel and sits in front of it, like a teacher, ready to teach a small student. With a small chisel, they make the first scratch. That scratch is thin, almost invisible, but the sound of metal hitting stone is caught softly in the air, moving with the morning wind, and disappearing among trees. Tuck, tuck, tuck. That rhythm keeps repeating. Slow, smooth, almost like a heartbeat sound. From the stone itself. The first relief they carve is a story of daily life. A mother carries a pitcher. A merchant weighs rice. A child sits on his father's lap. A bird perches on a tree branch. There are no dramatic scenes. No heroes. Only life. Simple. And peaceful. Because artists believe. Art does not have to be loud. To be eternal. Calmness too can be a story. The next panel tells a moral journey. Teachings about karma. About good deeds. Returning good. About bad steps. Bringing winding roads. Artists are not in a hurry. If one line needs a day, they will still work on it. A full day. No time is wasted. When something is made wholeheartedly, those stones begin to speak slowly. Small pictures appear, one by one, forming a long journey that will later be read by thousands of eyes for centuries. Noon approaches, and the sun lowers its rays through leaf gaps of large teak trees. Light moves slowly over newly finished carvings, making live reliefs, as if moving. That bird looks like just about to fly. The mother carrying a pitcher looks like wanting to step. The small child in sculpture looks like just smiling. A young artist stops his work and observes that light. Can stone live? He asks his teacher. The teacher smiles. Wrinkles on his face follow the shape of his lips, which are soft. If you carve it with a calm heart, it will live, he answers. Stone only borrows your life to liven it up. The young artist nods slowly, absorbing those words like warm water falling into a deep lake. When afternoon almost arrives, mountain wind turns cooler. Artists store their chisels, clean stone dust from palms, and sit with other workers under a large tree. They drink bamboo water, lean on tree trunks, and listen to small stories conveyed with low voices. No one talks about how many panels are finished. No one complains about the length of time needed to make one relief. All accept that Borobudur is built by time, not by human haste. When night falls, the moon appears slowly in the still dark blue sky. Under its light, finished reliefs reflect a soft shine, as if those stones were just washed by silver light. Artists walk home through a path covered with dry leaves. Every step of theirs makes a soft sound. Crack, crack, crack. That sound responds to night sounds, cricket sounds, wind sounds, forest sounds, seeming to sing softly. And that night, Borobudur relief sleeps for the first time. Sleeps with a story, not yet finished, but already starting to breathe. In the middle of that silence, Borobudur grows a little more, not towards the sky, but into the hearts of people building it. equals. Day by day. Month by month. Borobudur stones keep increasing. Slowly but surely. Like the steps of someone. Walking while contemplating. When foundations are strong. And reliefs at the bottom start to finish. Building experts. Start the next stage. Building terraces. That will rise layer by layer. Towards the sky. This temple. Is not built like a house. Not built like a palace. But like the universe itself. It is designed. As a giant mandala. Symbol of the universe. Human journey. And peak of enlightenment. In a misty morning. Workers stand. In the middle of the structure starting to rise. Air above feels fresher. Cooler. And valley wind. Brings scent of young rice. From far below rice fields. From that height. Workers can see. The expanse of Kidu land. Looking like a living painting. It feels as if they are not just building a temple, but building a connector between earth and sky. To make terraces, they arrange large stones with extraordinary care. Every stone is cut with precision level, almost like jewelry work. Although sized tens of kilograms, those stones are arranged, circular and terraced, forming long halls, surrounding the temple, in spiral shape. That hall is a journey, body journey, mind journey, and soul journey. Every time a terrace is finished, workers stand for a moment, observing the result. From end to end. They do not talk about height or size. They only feel the balance created. A young worker once asked an old silpan, "Why do we build a temple shaped rising circularly?" The silpan smiled softly, wiping wet stone adhesive on his finger. "Because life does not go up straight," he said. "Life goes up spinning, teaching us to see from all directions." That young man nodded slowly, although perhaps not yet fully understanding. But those words settled inside his heart, like water granules, seeping slowly into fertile soil. First terrace is the world of desire, Kamadhatu, where humans are often bound by lust and desire. Here initial reliefs tell about karma, about cause and effect, about humans walking on a path full of doubt. When the next terrace is built, artists create reliefs, smoother, deeper, more spiritual. This is Rupadhatu, world of form, where humans start seeing life with wisdom. Halls in this part are filled with carvings depicting Buddhist teachings, Siddhartha's journey, and moral advice. Subtle but strong. Workers, although not all understand its full spiritual meaning, still feel that they are building something very sacred. Every time a terrace is finished, wind seems to change a little. Softer, wider, higher. When they start building upper terraces, morning mist often descends, thicker than usual. That mist strokes workers' faces with softness, making them feel like working in a land between humans and gods. Above that mist surface, only wood hammer sound and stone chisel are heard. Tuck, tuck, tuck. Sound that has become Borobudur daily music. When seventh terrace is finished, workers realize that they are already at a height making wind feel cleaner, colder, and more open. At that point, sky looks closer. Clouds seem to move above their heads with slow steps. In the afternoon, sun sets behind Mount Sumbing, radiating gold light, falling on temple stones, now starting to look like a masterpiece. Long shadow from terrace structure falls to hillside, forming soft patterns, moving when wind shifts tree leaves. Everything feels like a world breathing very calmly. And finally, building experts know that the next step is the peak. World without form, Arapadatu. No longer reliefs, no longer stories. In this world, there is only silence. That part will be a place for stupas, place where stone turns into symbol of silence. But that will be the next stage. For tonight, it is enough we stand on Borobudur 7th terrace, feeling soft wind touching skin, listening to forest voice calling softly, and letting ourselves get sleepy slowly, like afternoon light dimming behind mountain. At that height, Borobudur has grown a little closer to the sky, and humans have become a little closer to themselves. When Borobudur terraces have soared like mountain steps, workers and building experts understand that they almost reached the most sacred part of this entire structure. That part is the peak place where form starts to disappear, where words are no longer needed, and where humans only stand under the sky without carrying anything except themselves. At this peak will stand tens of small stupas and one main stupa, becoming Borobudur crown. On a very calm morning, mist hangs thick among trees, so thick that workers can only see as far as a few steps ahead. But behind that mist, footstep sound keeps moving slowly, carrying selected stones very carefully. Those stones are not cut flat like others. They are shaped curved, because stupa is not a building with angles, but a building following nature shape. Round like moon, balanced like dewdrop, and soft like sky curve. Workers touch that stone with palm first, feeling its surface still cold due to night dew residue. Stupa is silence, said an old Silpan to his young students. Its shape is round, Because silence has no beginning and end. Those students nodded slowly, letting those words descend into their hearts, like fine rain, seeping slowly to ground. When first stone is placed, mist starts to shift a little. Sunlight penetrates from gaps of thin clouds above. That light falls on stone surface, newly arranged, making it shine with soft silver color. Workers stop for a moment, looking at that light. Some smile a little. Some take deep breaths. Some just stand still and let that moment envelop them. Because for them, Borobudur Peak is not building peak. This is journey peak. Day by day, small stupas start arranged neatly, surrounding temple peak. Every stupa has small holes, diamond-shaped, or rhombus. From distance, those stupas look like stone lanterns. But if seen close, those holes look like breath patterns. Regular, symmetrical, and full of calmness. Inside every stupa will be placed Buddha statue, sitting in perfect silence. Carvers form those statues with high respect. Every face made with soft expression, eyes half closed, mouth slightly smiling, and hands forming mudra, depicting inner calmness. When that statue inserted into stupa, sound of stone rubbing against stone heard softly, a sound almost like a whisper. While working, building experts look around. Pale blue sky, thin clouds moving slowly, and valleys stretching far below them. From that height, houses look small, rice fields look like cloth patterns, and Progo River looks like silver line extending among trees. All look so calm, as if world is taking a long nap. And above all that, Borobudur grows, little by little, becoming a kind of bridge between earth and sky. When main stupa starts built, Silpins work with extraordinary precision. They arrange circular stone, layer by layer, binding it only with gravity and cutting precision. No cement, no glue, only stone, hugging each other with perfection. That main stupa is not just peak symbol. It is total silent space. No reliefs, no carvings, no stories. It is empty space, teaching humans that at peak of inner journey, what remains is only oneself and silent world. When twilight arrives, sunlight touches those stupas softly. Its light reflects in every small hole, making it look like stone lantern lit from within. Under that light, Borobudur Peak looks like place where time stops. Workers sit on one of terraces, contemplating their work result. Some close eyes regulate breath, letting soft wind sweep their faces. Inside that silence, they feel something inexplicable. Like there is calm space inside their chest, also formed together with those stupas. When night falls and stars appear, Borobudur Peak turns into black silhouette, standing gracefully under vast sky. Stars twinkle slowly above stupa, as if talking in ancient language already forgotten, heard by humans. Mountain wind moves slowly, bringing wet earth scent and soft sound of bamboo leaves rubbing each other. In that night, workers sleep in various corners of temple, with head resting on arm and breath up down, like small wave. Stupas guard them silently, guarding with perfect silence. And inside that silence, Borobudur grows again, this time not upwards, but into soul of people building it. In a morning when sky looks pale and mist like thin blanket circling Borobudur's shoulders, workers stand on fourth terrace and stare towards unfinished peak. Last night rain left water drops flowing between stone joints, forming thin line, shining like silver thread. Some workers fall silent, noticing small water wave descending slowly, forming pattern, looking so natural, as if those stones already knew where water should go. But Silpins do not consider it coincidence. They know for sure that from beginning, Borobudur designed to talk with water. A few days later, under morning sunlight, an old Silpin calls his students. He stands in front of newly finished hull, pointing to small gap, almost invisible, among large stones. Look at that, he says softly. That is not defect. That is way. Students approach, observing that gap, with narrowed brows. This, says a young student, path for water. The teacher smiles softly. Water always seeks way, he says. Our task is to prepare its way. From beginning of construction, building experts have studied hill shape, rain-water flow, and wind direction. Borobudur built not to fight nature, but to work with it. Behind sturdy stone wall, there are small empty spaces. Relief space, invisible from outside. Those cavities are not secret rooms storing treasure. That cavity is Borobudur lungs. Those spaces make temple breathe, help water flow, make air move, and prevent building, holding water pressure. When rain falls, water will enter through small gap made specifically, flowing inside cavity, then out through fine channel, leading to slope. No puddles, no trapped water. A worker once said, with amazed voice, this temple not only stands on ground, it stands with ground. And everyone nods slowly. One day, Thick clouds gather. Above Merapi. Wind brings rain scent. And thunder sound. Heard softly. Like distant step. Getting closer. Workers. Stop for a moment. Observing sky. Starting to darken. Rain falls. A few minutes later. Soft at first. Like thin fingers. Touching leaves. Then slowly becoming heavy. Until rain sound. Covers entire forest. Workers take shelter. Under bamboo tent. They look. How rain water. Flows along temple path. At terrace edge. Water falls in thin line. Clean and regular. Not messy. Look. Says a young Silpan. Whose eyes sparkle. Water follows path. We made. Old teacher nods. His eyes staring at rain. Reflecting gray light. That is why. 1,000 years from now. This temple will still stand, he says softly. Because it understands water. Slowly, rain subsides. Clouds break. And sunlight reappears. Falling on wet stones. Reflecting light. Like glass surface. Workers come out of tent. Observing water paths. Shrunk into small lines. They walk along hall. Checking every gap. Every joint. Every water path. Water drops. Drip from small stupa. Falling to stone floor. With sound. Tick. 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 That sound. So soft. Until heard. Like nature clock. Counting time. In slowest way. A few days later. Silpans gather workers. To show another system. They knock certain stone. With wooden hammer. That stone. Emits different echo. Deeper. More hollow. Behind this stone. Says the expert. There is empty space. Flowing rain water. Downwards. Workers touch that stone. With fingertips. Feeling cold from inside. Everything. Continues the Silpan. Must function together. Borobudur is not just stone. It is body. And that body. Has its own system. On a calm afternoon. Sun descends slowly. Behind Mount Merbabu. Orange light touches. Every stupa. Every curve. Every wall. Now starting filled with reliefs. In distance. Forest sways. Under twilight wind. Sound of bamboo leaves. Rustling softly. Giving soft rhythm. Filling temple halls. Still wet. By rain residue. Workers sit. On one of high terraces. Observing that view. With heart full. Of calmness. Water, wind, earth, and stone. All work together. Whispers a young worker. Old Silpan. Sitting beside him. Chimes in softly. When you build. According to nature. Nature will guard you. And under that twilight sky. Borobudur. Grows again. This time not because of stone. But because of balance. Because this temple. Always understands. How to be part. Of wider world. Equals. After years stones raised, reliefs carved, halls formed, and stupas arranged. With silence almost soundless, Borobudur finally approaches its form. Most complete. That morning, when valley mist descends thicker than usual, workers, artists, silpins, and royal elders walk slowly towards temple. No loud commands, no shouts. All move like small group entering a dream. In air smells scent of ylang flower and pandan leaves burned for ceremony. That scent rises slowly with mist, creating atmosphere, feeling sacred but soft. Artists check their last carving. They touch relief surface they have worked on for years, sweeping fine dust, tidying small remaining corners, and rubbing face lines on Buddha statue with softness, almost like caress. An old carver stares at his work. On one of largest panels, he sighs long, not because tired, but because relieved. This stone, he says softly to his young student, has stored my whole life. Student smiles softly, touching his teacher's sculpture, depicting ship sailing in storm, symbol of human journey. Teacher, he says with low voice, you have made this stone speak. Old man does not answer. He just closes eyes for a moment, storing that moment inside his heart. On other side, workers check last water gap. They ensure that every path flows correctly, that every cavity remains open, and that every joint installed perfectly. This temple, says one silpin to his workers, will live longer than us all. We only entrust our time to it. Workers nod, feeling small, but simultaneously becoming part of something big. When sun rises higher, royal elders arrive at Borobudur foot. They bring simple offerings: rice, water, flowers, and bunch of green leaves. That ceremony, not grand ceremony. No big gong, no thousands of people, only a few leaders, a few priests, and workers, who have dedicated life to build this temple. Oldest priest stands in front of first stair, lifting small bowl containing river water. He lights incense, and cinnamon scent fills air with soft warmth. May this temple become place of peace, he whispers softly. May it become home for people seeking light. Water in bowl, then sprinkled to every foundation side, as if purifying all journeys passed by these stones. After simple ceremony finished, group climbs slowly, treading steps from bottom layer to peak. Halls once quiet, now filled with footsteps, walking with regular rhythm, like long breath exhaled by earth. Workers touch those reliefs a long way. Some trace carving with fingertips, remembering day, when they carved it. Step sound echoes softly in stone hall, creating small echo, heard like ancient song. When they arrive at top terrace, mist starts to split, sunlight falls on stupas, lined up like stone lanterns. Main stupa stands right in middle, silent, calm, and majestic. Without sound, oldest priest steps forward, potting flower in front of main stupa, and bows head. No long prayer, no loud mantra, only silence, because silence is language most sacred. In that silence, wind strokes temple peak softly, bringing sound like whisper. Finished. A young worker wipes corner of eyes, not because sad, but because mixture of pride and calmness. Finished. He mumbles softly. An old carver beside him smiles little. No, he says softly. This is not finished. This is just born. And that word, born, echoes softly in heart of everyone. There. Sun rises higher. Mist slowly disappears. And Borobudur looks completely for first time. Its shape, like perfect small mountain, with soft circles, rising slowly toward sky. Workers sit silently on upper terrace, staring at valley expanse. Now looking clear. Green rice fields, small houses, and Progo River, flowing calmly, like long silver line. There is no other sound, except wind. There are no words need to be spoken. Borobudur has been born, and world becomes a little calmer. Equals. And like that, our journey among Borobudur's silent stones reaches its end. From simple hands lifting first stone until sunlight touching last stupa, we have witnessed how a masterpiece born, grow, shine, then slowly sink into forest embrace. Borobudur is not just temple. It is time breath. It is long memory, stored inside Java earth. It was once filled with human steps. Then one day, no one came anymore. It once shone in ceremony and learning. Then one day, garden, forest, and wind covered it like night blanket. But even when world forgot it, that temple never disappeared. It just slept. So peaceful. So long. So silent. Like someone sleeping under big tree and letting time flow just like that. If you stand in front of Borobudur today, you might see old stones, colored gray, stupas cold by mountain wind, and reliefs scratched by hands, long been part of ground. But if you close eyes and let afternoon wind touch your face, you might hear something. Not loud sound, not human voice. More like small echo, born from inside stone itself. Echo, talking about hundreds of hands, lifting stone with heart, about thousands of steps, walking in meditation, about people coming seeking peace, about world changing so fast, but always leaving space for silence. Borobudur teaches us one thing, that something built with calmness